Welcome to another SkaredCast Battle Report. Today we have Fred and his Necron Horde, 1750 points against my Dark Eldar Coven. It is game 15 in the Coven Search for Perfection. We're testing lists for the Michael Mudd Memorial Tournament, and the battlefield has been drawn, Vanguard Strike and Purge the Alien. A fantastic test for my list. It is one of the hardest matchups for Dark Eldar to win, so it's going to be a test of Uriens' skill in battle. And now we're moving on to deployment, and we'll be right back after this with the showcase and everything. The battle lines are drawn. We have the Dark Eldar forces of Uriens Rakarth facing off against the ancient Necron Menace. We have deployed in a Vanguard Strike with an Annihilation Barge waiting to come out and strike from the shadows as it is night fight. The Dark Eldar do have turn 1. The Spiders ready to reinforce the Scarabs with some Wraiths, a Destroy Lord and another Annihilation Barge, and 8 Warriors out on the flank. We have 2 Tailor Eye with Twin-Link Liquefy Guns and Splitting Cannons holding the front. We have Uriens Rakarth in his modified Command Barge, 10 Racks with 2 Liquefy Guns, 10 Warriors in that Raider, 10 Warriors sitting in that Crater with a Lance and a Blaster, a Venom with 5 Witches with Haywires. The middle one has a Trueborn with the Splinter Cannons, and another Venom facing off against the Necrons. The Necrons will try to steal the initiative and take the steam out of the Dark Eldar advance.
Here we go.
They do not. We'll be back after Dark Eldar turn 1. In reserve, the Dark Eldar have a Razorwing and 5 Scourge with 2 Heat Lances, deep striking. First time I'm trying them out. And 2 Night Scythes. 2 Night Scythes, one with Warriors, one with Immortals, and deep striking Death Marks with a Abyssal Staff. Uriens Rakarth had ordered his forces forward. There was much reshuffling. We had the Racks, the Trueborn go over here, 2 Witch Venoms go over there, the Raider, 2 Talos advance forward, and Uriens Rakarth turbo boosted up the flank. We fired all the Venoms and all the Splinter Cannons into 8 Warriors. Finally, this last Talos was able to kill them and phase the unit out, gaining me first blood and, of course, giving himself a pain token while I put 1 more wound on Wraith. Other than that, there was no more damage done to the Necron. The Necrons advanced forward. 2 more Scarabs added to the swarm of Scarabs by the Canoptech Spiders. We had the 1 Annihilation Barge that was out of range of everything move up and turbo boost to get into range for next turn. We had the Wraiths move up as well and try a 12-inch charge against the Talos that was unloaded on by the other Annihilation Barge that lost 1 wound. They needed a 12-inch charge but only succeeded in rolling a 9. Other than that, the battle is now joined, and the Dark Eldar need to roll for their reserve rolls. Do the Scourge show up? They do not. Does the Razorwing show up? It does. So, the Razorwing came in and knocked 3 Scarab bases from the ground, making sure that they were out of 6 inches of these Tomb Spiders. Lances fired ineffectively at the Annihilation Barges. The Dark Eldar force advanced, and a whole bunch of shooting. Almost the entire army shot at the Wraiths, leaving 1 with 1 alive, and the Necron Lord with 1 wound left. With Uriens Rakarth and his Grotesques, and the Talos both failing their critical charges to try run in and wipe the unit out. And now we're rolling for reserves.
First, my Necron Flyer with the Overlord in it. 3 up.
It comes in.
My Overlord, Flyer with the Cryptek comes in, and then my Death Marks.
They come in. All 3 reserves have arrived. We'll be back right after this. The Necron Night Scythes have advanced. This one fired into the Razorwing, failing to do any damage, just putting 1 hull point that got through the Flicker Field. These Warriors with a Cryptek and combined shooting from the Tesla Arc fired into that Raider, knocking it out, disgorging the Racks that are now going after the Death Marks that mishapped and landed in a crater way off the side of the battlefield. In combat, the Wraith and the 1 Lord charged into Uriens Rakarth's Pain Train, and both fell down to the flurry of attacks as they only had 1 wound each. We're going to roll to see if that guy, if the Destroy Lord gets back up. Meanwhile, the Scarabs ate Uriens Rakarth's Raider, and the Immortals took out 1 Venom, knocking out 4 Witches in the explosion, and the Night Scythe took out another Venom, knocking out 4 Witches in the explosion, while the Annihilation Barge on that fired into the central unit of warriors, trying to get as much arcing as possible, failing to do much damage. And the Death Marks did put 1 wound on their marked Talos. And now, we're rolling to see if the Destroy Lord comes back to life.
Come on, lucky dice!
Oh, and I believe that is a stay. Yes, it is. He comes back. There you go. And we're rolling for reserves. Do the Scourge show up? They do. The forces of Uri and Rakath. The Raks took out the Death Marks in cover, taking no casualties in return and gaining themselves a 3rd pain token. The Scourge deep struck in this location 2 heat lances against the Annihilation Barge, and they missed. The Trueborn took 2 wounds off of the lead Tomb Spider, but that Tomb Spider is still alive. The other Annihilation Barge is fine. Uri and Rakath wiped out the Scarabs with his units, gaining them their 5th pain token. The Razorwing knocked out the Tesla Destructor from that Night Scythe, and I killed 2 warriors from that unit, while the Witch lobbed a grenade, did nothing, and the other Witch ran into that Raider and ran away. And now we're moving on to Necron turn 3. What will happen? The Destroy Lord also fell down too, as the Talos put him down, gaining himself a pain token as well. We'll be back. The Doom Scythe moved in, fired 3 penetrating hits into that Venom, and I passed all 3 of my Flicker Field saves, making him the luckiest Venom alive. Shooting saw 1 more Grotesque go down from the Immortals and the Annihilation Barge that made my cover saves. The Tomb Spiders failed to charge against that Talos, and combined shooting from that Warrior Squad into that Scourge unit and the Annihilation Barge wiped out my Scourge, meaning I have very little left that can deal with the Annihilation Barges. We moved up to put more pressure on the Necron lines. This unit of warriors took a lot of damage, and the Cryptek got back up thanks to the Talos. Lots of poison shots into the spiders. They made every single save. I was unable to harm that Annihilation Barge once again. I shot a lot and charged into this unit of Immortals, killing the Chronometron Cryptek and 1 more Immortal, as Urien failed the charge with his Aberration over there. And other than that, we're moving on to Necron turn 4. What will happen? We will see. The 2 flyers flew off the board. 1 grabbed all these and moved out. The Annihilation Barges are just gaining some ground, shooting at stuff. The Scarabs failed a critical charge into the warriors, and the Talos passed his Mindshackle Scarabs, killing 2 warriors, and then the Lord put 1 wound with the War Scythe, but I feel no pain it with the Talos. So now we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 5. Could be the end of the game. The Razorwing had to fly off the board. Urien and his Grotesque charged, and his Aberration charged into the unit. We killed 1 more Immortal, but that combat is still, and the Talos once again passed his Mindshackle Scarabs. I finally killed an Annihilation Barge with a lucky lance shot. I'm banking on it going another turn so that the Razorwing can come on, and the Raks are running up at full speed, while the other Talos killed the last of the Tomb Spiders that got blasted by the Trueborn Venom. Now we're moving on to Necron turn 5. We had the flyers come on. The Warriors destroyed the last Venom, wrecked it. He also got the Talos Pen Engine and the last Witch that was hiding over there, and the Aberration for the last Rak, giving him a total of 4 points in this last turn. And will the game continue on the 3? It does. 6. So we knocked out the Warriors with the Cryptek with a bunch of shooting. This flyer evaded a blaster shot that had struck it. The Raks running to get Linebreaker. Urien Rakath, in a fit of glory after the Talos failed his Mindshackle Scarabs, did 4 wounds with his Gauntlet, killing both Immortals, and the Lord failed his 1 save and then failed to reanimate. So Urien Rakath went from 5 to 7 pain tokens in 1 round of combat. Let's see what the Necrons can do on their last turn, and then we will roll to see if it goes on, or we might tally out the points, depending on what happens. Annihilation Barge failed to take on the Talos. The Doom Scythe, the Night Scythe, took out Urien Rakath with a crazy, 7-hit Tesla shot, which was ridiculous. And the other Night Scythe kind of flew behind the Bastion to hide itself. So, does it go on to turn 7? Right now, we think it's tied. We're going to count the points, but does it go on? It does not. It is over. We'll be back with a count. And this came down to the wire, boys. Stay tuned. End of the game. So the Dark Eldar emerged slightly victorious with an 11 to 13 point win. It was an absolute bloodbath. The Necrons have an Annihilation Barge and 2 Night Scythes left on the board. The Dark Eldar have some forces left, but thanks to Urien Rakarth's sacrifice and crazy combat resolution on that end, where the Warlord fell down, and of course the Rax getting first Linebreaker and First Blood, which cemented that first 2 points, the Dark Eldar survived. Now, thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you check out the blog, the YouTube channel. Of course, if you're watching this, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the videos, share them with your friends, or I will cry. You guys are awesome. Thanks a lot for watching. And this is Skari, your grateful host. Out, of course. Not before you've listened to this Tactical Corner. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. So, starting with the Necron army. Very tough, very fast. I was worried about the Annihilation Barges and the Night Scythes mostly, as I know I can kind of deal with the rest of the army. My army is very balanced, and it's a Coven list, so not something you see every day. A lot of tough units, which is going to help me in a kill point mission, because of Feel No Pain and high toughness. Deployed in a very central position with the Derelict Bastion fortifying my flank. And he did one big mistake, and that was deploying that little unit of 8 Necron warriors, which I focused on for First Blood early in the game. All he was able to do first turn was kind of move up and rush my lines. In retrospect, taking on the race, I had to. Some incidental fire against the Annihilation Barges was incidental, but I needed to get rid of those wraiths ASAP, which is why I targeted them first. And he responded by doing a lot of damage on the turn that his Night Scythes came on, basically turning the entire game in his favor, killing all my Venoms, well, a lot of my Venoms and my Raiders, which were easy kill points. Luckily, he charged in with his Wraith and his Lord, giving me that extra point, and then knocking his Lord down. The next couple of turns was a bit of a toss-up. I needed to start focusing on things that I knew I could kill, things like the Tomb Spiders and the Annihilation Barges. When the Scourge failed and then got hit with Tesla. By the way, that was a Tesla shot. It was brutal. That was basically an easy kill point for him. His death marks mishapping and me putting them near my Rex was very calculated, so I could get my Rex in there to really wipe out the unit, get them fearless, and then I ended up running them across the table for a final point at the end of the game. Fred's dice kind of took a turn for the worse towards the end of the game, where he was unable to really do much damage to me. And then this combat, when Urien wiped everybody out single-handedly, Fred just failed all his saves. That cemented the victory for the Dark Eldar. So a little bit of luck, but good tactical play on my part, maneuvering and firing at the right things.